Hi friend, welcome to the live study channel. Today I am going to discuss JavaScript interview question and answer for experienced person and fresher also, but mostly you can watch. It's a very important question. Okay, so let's start. My first question is, what is JavaScript? Right? So basically, a JavaScript is a client-side and server-side scripting language insert into HTML page and is understood by web browsers. And also JavaScript is object-based programming language, right? So it's in mind, JavaScript is one of the three languages we all develop in most. Means HTML, CSS, another one is JavaScript. Because of HTML define the content of web page, CSS specify the layout of the web page, and JavaScript behavior of the web page. Right? Yeah, you can simply tag means HTML, then body, HTML, then head, then body, then heading, so many, then pages. Okay, and in this another one is the like a script. A script you can tag in a script, right? Means write the document dot get element by ID. You can put the demo dot inner HTML is equal to inverted comma, means you can write my first project in Java, my first page, then close braces scripting, right? So script can be placed in the body or any the head selection of the HTML page and you can select the both, but most important is in a script can put only in header file, because of if you want put in body, then web page is loading take a time, because of this update the whole pages, update then loading the CSS is taking the time. So is the best option is you can put in a header file. Okay. Another question is, what are the data types supported by JavaScript? So it's a data type supported means there are multiple data types supported in like undefined, null, boolean, symbol, string, number, objects. But in the data, data type is a preemptive data type and non-preemptive data type. Okay, so don't forget. So here boolean basically represent true and false value in JavaScript. Yeah, another language boolean is just true and false, like 1 and 0. Null pointer represent empty, nothing and unknown type of value. Right? Number is represent both integer and floating point value. Object used for storing collection of data or more complex entity. String represent the single character or multiple character, alphanumeric value, like Ashu. Okay. Symbol means used for creating a unique identifier for object. Undefined means represent value not assigned if a variable is only declared and not assigned in JavaScript. It represents the undefined data types. Clear? Go to the another question. Another question is, Can you assign an anonymous function to a variable and pass it an argument to another function? Answer is yes, you can. Because of anonymous function can be assigned to a variable. It can also be passed as an argument to another function. In case you are facing any challenges with the JavaScript, then you can read more and more. It's not a book. You can read and practical on a just in a self. You can create the website, web page. It's very simple, right? Move to the another question. Another question is, what is the significance of and reason for wrapping the entire content of JavaScript source file in a function block? So basically employed by many popular JavaScript library means jQuery, Node.js, right, React.js. This technique creates a closure around the entire content of the file, which perhaps most important create a private namespace and thereby help avoid potential name clash between different JavaScript modules and library. Another feature of this technique is to allow for an easily by referenceable, presumeable shorter alias for a global variable. This is often used for example in a jQuery plugin. jQuery allow you to disable the reference to the jQuery namespace using jQuery.noConflict method. If this has been done, your code can still use employing this closure technique like as a follow means function has open bracket okay jQuery plug code reference within this one, right? Okay, move to the another question. Another question is, what is significant and what are the benefits of including use string at the beginning of a JavaScript source file? So here is the string is a way to voluntarily enforce trigger parsing and error handling on your JavaScript code at a runtime. The code error that would otherwise have been ignored or would have failed silently will now generate error or throw exception. In general, it is a good practice. But some of the key benefits of strict mode including like make a debugging easier, prevent accidental global, eliminate this concern, disallow duplicate parameter value, right, and make evalue method safer, and also throw the error in an invalid usage. So debugger easier, make debugging easier means the code error that would have been ignored or would have been false silently will now generate an error through the exception, alerting your sooner to problem in your code and directing you more quickly to their source. So accidental globals means without a strict mode, assigning a value to an undeclared variable automatically create a global variable with that name. This is one of the most common error in a JavaScript. So in strict mode, attempting to do so through an error. Eliminate another one is eliminate this question, means without strict reference to this value of null or undefined is automatically constrained to the global. This can use meaning head fake and pull out your hair kind of bug. In strict mode, referencing this value of for null are defined through an error. This allow duplicate parameter value strict mode through an error when it detects a duplicate name argument for a function. For example, function foo means value 1, value 2, value 3, like this, thereby catching what almost certainly a bug in your code that you might otherwise have wasted lot of the time tracking down. Means it used to be echo script 5 that strict mode would be disallow duplicate property name, means variable object is equal to foo bar a foo someone else. Right? Someone else. So and also put to the significant in a JavaScript. So move to the another question. Another question is, what is consider the two functions below, will they both return the same thing? Why and why or not? Means a function foo1 method, okay, then return bar hello, and another method is foo2 return the bar hello. So what is the returns? So basically foo1 return object means bar and hello. Foo2 return undefined. Foo1 what? Right? Because these two functions will not return the same thing. Why? Because of console.log foo return, okay, console.log foo method, console.log foo2, okay. So only this, but what makes the particular journal is foo2 method return undefined without any error being thrown. Means the reason of this has to do with the fact that semicolon are technically optional in JavaScript. Although omitting them in generally really bad form. As a result, when the line containing the return statement with nothing else underlined encounter in foo2 method, a semicolon automatically inserted intermediately after the return statement. So now error in throw is silent since the remainder of the code is the particular perfectly valid even though it does not error and get involved or anything. So the defined property bar which is equal to the string hello. That's why. Another question is, what are the scope of a variable in JavaScript? There are two scopes, global and local. right? So the global variable has global scope, which means it is visible everywhere in your JavaScript code, but local variable will be visible only within a function. Where it is defined, a function parameter are always local to the function. Another question is, what is closure any with any example? Okay, so basically closure are created whenever a variable that is defined outside the current scope is accessed from with the some inner scope. It gives your access to an outer function scope from scope from inner functions. In a JavaScript, closure are created everything in a function is created. For example, to use a closure, simply define a function inside the another function and explore it. Another question is, what are object prototypes? All JavaScript objects inherit property from a property. Prototypes means variable. Okay. For example, data object inherit property from the data prototypes. Math object inherit properties from the math prototype. Array object inherit properties from the array prototypes. On the top of the chain object dot prototypes, every prototype inherit properties and method from the object dot properties file. A prototype is a blueprint of an object. Prototype allow us to use properties and method on an object even if the properties and method do not exist in the current object. Okay, means suppose a variable array dot push to console.log, so output is 2. So we have got defined any property and method called push on the array, but the JavaScript engine does not throw an error because being the use of prototype, as I discussed before, every object inherits properties from the array prototypes. So the JavaScript engine see that the method push down does not exist on the current array object, and therefore look for the method push inside the array prototype, and it is find the method. Another question is, what are the callbacks? So basically, a callback is a function that will be executed after another function. Get, execute in JavaScript function are treated as a first class citizen. They can be used as a argument of another function, can be returned any another function, and can be used as a property of any object. So the functions that are used an argument to another function are called callback. For example, function divide by half. Okay, in sum console.log math.floor sum divide by 2. Another function use multiple, then operand means sum number 1 2 operation, right? The output is 320. So basically there are the sum of two numbers. Okay, the operation on sum function take a 3 argument first number. second number, and the operand that is be performed on their sum callback. Both divide by half and multiply by 2 function are used a callback function in the code. This callback function will be executed only after the function operation on sum is executed. So therefore the callback is a function that will be executed after another function get executed. Got it? Another question is, what is use of the promise in JavaScript? So the promise are used to handle asynchronous operation in JavaScript. Before the promise, callback we were used to handle asynchronous operation, but due to the limited functionality of callback, using multiple callback to handle asynchronous code can lead to unmanageable code. Promise object has the 4 states: pending, fulfilled, rejected, settled. So the pending, what is pending? Means the initialized state of promise. This state represents that the promise has neither been fulfilled or been rejected. It is the promise. It is in the pending state. So the fulfilled state is the state that represents that the promise has been fulfilled, remaining the synchronized operation is completed. Rejected means the state represents that the promise has been rejected for some reason, means the synchronized operation has failed. Settled means promise has been either rejected or fulfilled. So a promise is created using the promise constructor, which take is a callback function with 2 parameters, means resolve method and reject method. The resolve is a function that will be called when the synchronized operation has been successfully completed, and reject method is a function that will be called the synchronized operation failed or if some errors. Okay. Another question is, what is the difference between the operator double equal and triple equal? So the main difference between double equal and triple equal operator is that formally compare variable by making a type correction. For example, if you compare a number with a toString with a numeric literal, double equal allow, but triple equal does not allow that, because it is not only check the value but also check by the two variables. If 2 variables are not of the same type, so triple equal return the false, while double equal return true. Another question is, what is difference between null and undefined? Undefined means a variable has been declared but has not yet been assigned a value. On the other hand, null is an assignment value. It can be assigned to a variable as a representation of no value. Also, undefined and null are 2 distinct types. Means undefined is a type of itself undefined, while null is an object. Another question is, what is a NaN in JavaScript? Means not a number. So not a number, always compare unequal to any number, including NaN. It is usually used to indicate an error condition for a function that could return a valid number. Then a string or something else is being converted into a numbers, and that could could not be done. Then we get a NaN. For example, is NaN means hello, so return is true, but 3, 4, 5, then return is false. Another question is, what is the strict mode in JavaScript and how can it is enabled? Actually, I have already discussed in the previous question strict mode. So it's just I'm not introducing the more, but just little bit. Means strict mode is always to introduce the better error checking into your code, right? When you use strict mode, you cannot use implicitly declare variable or assign a value to read only properties and add properties to an object that is not extendable. But you can enable strict mode by adding use strict at the beginning of a file, a program or function. Another question is, what is the prompt box in JavaScript? A prompt box is a box which allows the user to enter input by providing a text bar. The prompt method display a dialog box that prompt the vector for input. A prompt box is often used in your if you want the user to input a value before entering a page. When a prompt box pops up, the user will have a click either OK or cancel to proceed after entering an input value. Another question is, how to import an array in a JavaScript? So there are number of methods you can do import array. Like array list means import. Okay, means the value array list to any import array. This is recommended if you don't have reference to the original array. So array list anywhere is because it will be usually create a new import array. You should be carefully this method of importing using the, because of if you have a reference the array from another variable, the original reference array will be remain unchanged. Array list dot length is equal to 0. So length is equal to 0. This 0 is this we imported the array, also update all the reference variable that point to be the original array. Therefore, the method is used when you want to update all reference variable pointing to array list. Array list dot slice, okay, method 0, you can put on slice means 0 array list dot length. Means implement the also work properly. This with the importing array will be also update all reference to the original array. Another question is, what will be the output with the console.log false is equal to 0 or console.log false triple is equal to 0. So first one is a true, a second one is a false. So why? Because of two set of the equal operator. The triple equal operator behavior like any traditional equality operator would, means evaluate to true if the two expression on either of its side have the same type and the another and the same value. The double equal operator, however, try to correct the value before comparing them. It is therefore generally good to use the triple rather than double equal. Hold the true for and not hold the false. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe.